Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday night Q&A. Moffat on Money. I'm Clay, joined by E-Train, well-known, internationally known, renowned
No,
celebrity,
not really.
gracious,
Not at all.
kind, sweet, a
Well,
little
that's true.
clumsy.
Yeah, a lot of that.
So,
A whole lot of that.
yeah, she's actually had a little pain today. Been in a little pain, which comes when you run your head into the door frame.
Yeah, it does. And I knew you just couldn't not say that. He loves to humiliate me. He's like, how the hell did you? Y'all, it hurts so bad.
That's not humiliating you. That's getting people to be aware in case your nose starts hemorrhaging.
Which I've had as well.
As you rub it because it's itching.
Mine is itching. And I did smack it into the door frame as well. Don't turn around too fast when you're trying to get a lot of things done really quickly. It's a bad idea.
Yeah. She bumped her noggin pretty good. So, but she's obviously doing much better. She's a tough old bird.
You just called me old and a bird at the same time. I don't know how to even respond to that.
Well,
I'm a little bit.
Bird is Scottish for a female.
Tough old bird.
It's old as in OLE, not OLD.
Uh-huh. You said old. Rewind. Look it up. Read, listen. I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old.
But we're glad to have y'all join us. You know, those on the replay crew. Hope that while you're here, you will remember to do the kind of the YouTubey things and hit the like and subscribe and notification button.
Hey, Jane, I like you a lot. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of a point that I think I probably will not win, so I will just let that stand on its own.
Cheerful's coming to your rescue.
Thank you, Cheerful. I love you.
And I do apologize if I am sniffy or rubbing my nose. I smacked my head and my nose straight into the door frame as I was turning around. So
yeah,
it itches and it hurts, and I don't even know. It was bleeding earlier, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to remind her not to scratch her nose because it probably won't feel as good as it should. But hopefully we can get through this without without her bleeding. Yeah, Jane, she smacked it just really solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
She bumped
it. I wasn't going to mention, I was like, everybody's going to think you did it, Clay. I was like, don't even go there. Oh, Desislava. Oh, shoot.
Desislava. How you doing? And Melissa. Good to see all y'all. Appreciate y'all jumping in.
Everybody's here. Oh, gosh. It does itch. I'm sorry.
Just lost my train of thought. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say the gang's all here.
They are all here.
Yeah, all we need is Brentwood, which she has a good excuse. She's going to be a little late. She's able to make it, and then Carson.
I know, right?
Yeah, Ellen will have to carry the deflection and disruption load until Carson joins back in.
Thank you, Cheerful.
And Sky Ricky, good to see you, Sky. Appreciate you.
Hey, Sky. Now, the gang's almost all here. Yeah. I ran into a door excuse. I know, right? I was like, Clay, no. I was like, I might have a bruise. I'm just going to wear a hat. We're just not even going to go there. He wasn't even home. So I called him crying. I was like, I think I broke myself somehow.
And what do you say when somebody calls you saying they ran into a door?
a door jam, not a door.
Yeah,
it was the door casing, I guess I would say.
What do you say? I just was kind of a little dumbfounded. I'm like,
you're like, what do you
the proper words to say?
You're like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I just want you to come home and kiss it. Just kiss the issues. I need magic kisses.
I offered to stop by the store and get her a bag of frozen peas, but she's
No.
hanging in there.
need-
She's a good sport.
It's just though. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, let's get to topic.
All right, couple things. Last Saturday we covered personal finance, some issues on personal finance. We had a bunch of questions, and one or two of them didn't get to. So thought I would just take a step back and try to, I guess, finish or cover a couple things on that topic. One of the questions concern, local politics. What's the impact of your money and your taxes on and sales taxes on school and
very sweet. I'm putting up all the things, Amica cream and then the peas. Yes, very sweet.
A peas offering. That that actually made me laugh. I hear a lot of people talking about the increased cost of housing and higher interest rates. The MSM, the mainstream media, has just had a slew of articles and discussion and topics, all about the higher cost of housing. But what they never mention is the cost of higher and higher property taxes. Cost of housing. A city near us and higher interest rates. Getting some feedback there. E-Train?
I handle it. Sorry.
I didn't know whether you know it or not. A city near us is trying to increase their property taxes by 70%, asking for a 70% increase in property taxes. This at a time when most people are struggling to make ends meet. So, that made me think, and along with the question, I guess kind of the best answer I can do is, have any of you ever heard of a government saying that, we've been spending too much, we've been wasting too much, we're too inefficient, we're doing things we don't need to do, we need to cut back, fire some dead weight employees, streamline operations, improve customer service and response times.
Have we ever heard that?
Yeah. Have you ever heard a government say that?
I've heard government employees say that. Congress, Senate.
I've never heard the government say that, much less do it.
I know they don't do it. I'm just saying that I've heard.
Even many of the ones that say it don't do anything about it.
They can't.
They can, but they just don't do anything about it. These higher taxes in the escrow, I was just reading, some people talking about Austin, Texas. Real estate prices are crashing in Austin. A lot of people are moving out of Austin. It was kind of the mecca to move to when COVID hit and the lockdown started. So you had a ton of people moving there. But with all the influx of people, the city has greatly changed. And the things that everybody loved about it are now different due to the masses of people there. So, a lot of people are moving out and a lot of people complaining about, they can't afford housing. Jane Post, that new president, and I think Argentina has been doing that. I will stand corrected. I did say any government.
You did.
The dude in 9 weeks of holding office has basically eliminated a U.S. size for their economy, a U.S. size debt. He's laying thousands of government workers off. He's, just taking a machete to spending. He's doing exactly what he promised. Now, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some confusion. The economic results will likely be uneven. But the real question is, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, will Argentina be better off? We absolutely know the direction they were headed.
Yep.
Just complete collapse. even more pain. My point, I guess, would be even more pain would happen if those steps weren't taken. So he's taking the steps sooner rather than waiting till later. And there's Carson.
He did kiss my boo-boo on my head, but I think it takes a mama for magic kisses. I don't know. It still hurts like hell. But thank you, Carson. Glad to see you here. I think all of the Musketeers are here except for Brentwood.
And she should be along soon.
And then Cheerful
asked, didn't that happen under Reagan, Graham, Redmond, Hollings? There was the tax cut, and there was a slowing of growth, cutting of some regulations. The main slowing of, whenever people in DC say that they've cut spending, they really haven't cut spending. What they've done is cut the growth. And that difference they refer to as cutting spending. But they'll still spend more on programs every year. So I don't consider that a real cut. They are just absolutely adamantly opposed to shutting down programs or reducing spending in most any area from the previous year's amount, or even freezing it.
Yeah. Let me ask you a quick question about the 3-letter agencies and who oversees them and where's their accountability?
Depends on the 3-letter agency you're talking about. If you're talking about some of
FBI,
the independent,
the CIA,
agencies,
the DOE, the DOJ,
all of those, cabinet level agencies would report to the president, who hires and fires the directors.
But the agency itself has no oversight.
Well, the president, the director, the people he appoints are supposed to be responsible for the oversight. Now, do they do that? Do they do it well? Do they do it the way I would like it? No, and no.
Yeah, supposed to is the operative phrase there.
But the legal structure is there. They just have a different agenda. I mean, you had Comey when he was testifying. Oh, geez. He took the Fifth Amendment, Comey. He took the Fifth Amendment 245 times. Brennan, the former CIA director, perjured himself at least 4 times. Yet nothing, not one change. If I have a justice official who refuses to testify before Congress as far as his actions, conduct, and instructions 245 times, I'm going to fire his ass. And then
do they get to
have it investigated?
Do they get to plead the Fifth with their own?
Yes.
Why?
Constitution.
Yes, but if they are overseen by, let's say, the Oversight Committee,
the Fifth Amendment.
And I've heard this argument, like, we are who you're responsible to.
Yes.
We are the ones make sure that you're doing your job.
But that is in a non-criminal. That is in a non-criminal offense. If the individual has committed criminal acts, he cannot be compelled to testify against himself or their.
But then there's no judiciary response.
The DOJ should be jumping on that with zeal, but the DOJ is not going to prosecute its own officials.
Sorry.
So, that's so do we have oversight? Technically, yes. Practically, no. There's a lot going on in DC in terms of the agencies just kind of running amok. I mean, you've got, whether you like him or not, You had 51 intelligence agents swear, certify, testify that Hunter Biden's computer was Russian disinformation.
Yeah.
And that Trump was, part of it and working with the Russians. All of that, even at the time, they knew was false.
All right, we're going to get to some of this later.
Not one of them has apologized.
That is for sure, Jane.
Yeah, there is no
true oversight.
There is no accountability. There is no responsibility. So they are pretty much at their own whimsy. The FBI is filed faked warrants based on faked evidence. Nobody has been charged. It's just it's crazy what's going on. So
yeah, it is.
But that, that's the way it is.
All right, Carson, I hope you...
On the local side, these higher taxes that, take the form of increased property taxes more and more severely limit the renter's ability to buy a house and penalize those who already do. I've seen here, on the island where due to the changing property values, the taxes on the property goes up, and people that have owned a little, Cape Cod cottage type house, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, had it for 60, 70, 90 years in the family. They have to sell it because they can't afford the taxes. I think that's wrong. Not only that, but the taxes collected, I've never seen a government say we need less revenue. We can get by on less. And I look at a lot of the government agencies like schools. I've waxed poetic about how schools, particularly elementary and high schools, have failed and failed miserably, particularly in the inner city. And when they fail, 32 Baltimore schools fail to have even one student at grade level proficiency in reading and math, what do they say? Do they apologize? Do they resign in shame? Are they fired? Are they replaced? No. They'll sit there and whine about, well, we need more money. The more they fail, the more they argue they need more money. So Ellen got a membership.
I didn't get one this time.
Let me guess, Carson, you didn't get one.
Carson, you got to figure that out, man. I'm trying the best I can. You're killing me. Somebody needs to figure out Carson and how to get him to accept gifted memberships.
Yeah, we have kind of almost a little competition here trying to get Carson a gifted membership. It has been
if we challenge. He is Canadian. I know that Sky Ricky is here. If you can help him, Sky Ricky, figure out how the heck to do this so he can get a darn membership. I have been trying for 6 months to get him a membership.
Something like that. It's really an ongoing saga. So, the use of taxes, how does that impact taxpayers? Well, amounts spent on public schools, one of my favorite topics. Spending money on schools that are really just basically glorified babysitting services. Who likely are indoctrinating your kids? Well, in this case, the parents are forced, to hire more tutors, to maybe send their kids to private schools, or to try to engage their kids in more outside the system educational activities. Police and fire. Are the locals prioritizing police and fire? We've seen a lot of cities where, cutting police funding has been a major goal of the politicians, where a lot of cities, large cities, aren't even charging people or arresting people if they steal less than $1,000. These kind of things. Well, this can affect and will affect your insurance. If crime is rising, break-ins, car thefts. Well, I was out in San Francisco a few years ago, and the police were already not even responding to car break-ins. So you would have people just walking down a car. They might see a purse sitting in the car. They just break the window, take the purse, and go. There's video that I had of somebody breaking in a car right in front of a police cruiser. Cops did nothing.
Yay, police.
So, the break-ins, the higher crime, that impacts, I'll say it in a minute, impacts your home insurance.
Climate
If
change.
your fire department is underfunded, if it's not being expanded, if, fire hydrants aren't being added or improved, then that'll impact your homeowner's insurance as well. If your neighborhood has a low FSRS rating, your insurance premiums will decrease. If that rating rises, your premiums will also rise. And when we talk about the fire insurance, what's the criteria? Well, proximity of your house to the fire department. So where's the nearest fire station relative to your house? The closer the firefighters are to your house, the lower your rates. The availability of firefighters, if they are volunteer or part-time or, partly staffed, then that'll raise your rates. Distance to the fire hydrant. If your home is within 500 feet of a fire hydrant, that'll lower your rates. But if you have a new home and the city isn't expanding the fire hydrants or building new stations, then the rating for the fire department will drop, and that will affect every homeowner.
So what explains our situation? I mean, we have fire hydrants right outside. We've also got the our station is less than a mile down the road.
Right. Hurricanes, storm surge,
climate change.
Yeah. A lot of insurance companies have exited the coastal market. So you have fewer companies providing the service, and they've really jacked up rates, which is exactly what you would expect. So that will probably only continue to get worse. Just due to the huge losses a lot of these questions have had.
Yeah, Jane's got a comment.
Pennsylvania property tax is off the hook, and they raise it every year. I know so many people that had to sell their homes because they couldn't afford the property tax. I think that's criminal. I really do.
Mhm.
I think that is just immoral and terribly wrong to force somebody to sell their house because they couldn't pay the taxes that you whimsically decided to increase. And, with all the increases, who's really going to argue that they're getting better services? Services here have just gotten worse. Lines are longer, more problems, but taxes keep going up.
More crime. I don't know if you heard about the guy that was apparently, pardon my French, shit-faced drunk. And he came down here. He was going to rob the Scotchman. He stole somebody's credit card. Ended up driving back up Carolina Beach Road and running his vehicle into a home on Carolina Beach Road.
Yeah.
People are getting nutty.
Things are getting more and more chaotic. They really are. I live in rural Pennsylvania. We don't get services. You just get the taxes.
Yeah. Well, I think more people are wanting to, I know you and I both do, Clay, want to move out to a more rural area. Rural, I can't say it. Than we have, than we're in, excuse me. And just kind of, we were at the Farmer's Supply. Where Farmer Supply? What's that place? Yeah. They had lemon trees, lime trees, fig trees, peach trees, pear trees, apple trees. And we were like, oh, I want one of each. And we can't do it.
Yeah, we live on an island. One, the soil, it's just sand. So it's, getting plants to grow is modestly difficult. And then two, on the island, the lots are, postage stamp size, which I didn't mind when I first met here because I didn't have neighbors, just kind of, woods and whatever. That's changed a little bit, but there's not a lot of maintenance, which, my previous house, I had 1.5 acres of zoysia. It's a lot of maintenance. So I didn't miss that at first, but I'm kind of getting to the point now where I like to get my hands dirty again.
Yeah, there's no grass in this neighborhood at all. Like it's just mulch or pine straw. Yeah. But yes, Sky Ricky, is it a Canada thing? Like, does Trudeau hate you that much that y'all can't receive free memberships to anything? Because that's weird. I started actually a bunch of these. Sky said, exactly, Carson. We can start a class action lawsuit against YouTube.
Well, I also wanted to thank Sky Ricky.
Yes,
just bought her own membership. So we do appreciate you very much. Appreciate your support of the channel.
Oh, she's been a member. So yeah.
I know, but just wanted to say thank you.
Of course. We thank all of you. But we keep trying to give it to Carson and it just never works out.
Yeah, it's just become a challenge to try to give one to Carson. It's just like, can we do this?
Mm-hmm. Because it's so frustrating that he can't do it. So it's All right. Are we ready for the question? That seems to be something about this. Okay. Have y'all, Sky Ricky and Carson, anyone else on the chat who is in Canada, have you ever gotten a gifted subscription or a membership from any American channel at all? Or is it just ours? I would like to know. If you don't
we're kind
mind.
of wondering, Sky, I think, mentioned that, it may be a YouTube Canadian thing and kind of rang a bell. It's like, there may be something there. Don't know.
There you go.
We can start a class action against YouTube. Jane, realize when you live out in the sticks, it could be a while before 911 services can get to you. You just need to prepare for those emergencies.
Absolutely.
Increasingly, when you have a police cruiser sitting there doing nothing when, criminals are breaking and entering, you probably, anywhere you are, increasingly need to be prepared for those emergencies. Now, we've probably, everyone has seen the squatter situation in New York where the lady was arrested for trying to kick out squatters of her house. This is just upside downward. You have people trespassing, destroying your property. You try to remove them and you get arrested.
I feel like, Clay, we are living in the upside down right now. Like nothing makes any sense.
Yeah, that's just begging. What do I do if a squatter or, complete stranger just pops open my door and just takes a bedroom? Do they now have rights to just walk in and live in my house? Do I have no right to physically throw them out?
Not in this state, but others, yes.
So that's just begging to me for more chaos, more trouble, more problems, and a relatively huge burden on homeowners. If you live in a city that allows that has those kind of laws, you got to be extremely paranoid about securing your house.
I mean,
another significant expense.
Well, Clay, there's something that, I was always told by many police officers and sheriff's deputies that if somebody wants to get in your house, they're going to get in your house if you're
Yeah,
not
but
home.
it's breaking and
So,
entering. It's not just
but
walking in and
not,
saying, I'm living here.
but not in some of these states. If you're not there and they take over, let's say they're armed, you're not. Okay. And they're like, you can't come back into your house. What do you do in some of these states that allow that? I mean,
Yeah,
it's insane.
and I'm talking about you go to the store and when you come back, somebody is moved in. Maybe you have a weekend trip. You come back, somebody's moved in. It's just insanity.
It is. Okay, so Carson says, I've gotten them for other American channels. Yes. And Sky Ricky says, wow, Carson, not me. Okay. Not squatters' rights issue. They're abusing tenants' rights. What do you mean?
Well, I think he's talking about how, squatters, the laws were changed to try to protect squatters from being, mistreated, unlawfully evicted. I don't know, but they've gone so far to where they seriously encroach on homeowners' rights.
So the squatters are abusing tenants' rights.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
The laws that protect the squatters.
I don't always interpret things like they are spelled out. And Melissa, Jane, definitely take a CERT class. It's fabulous. You get free emergency supplies. You can also, let's say you used to be a surgical assistant, such as Moffat here, Mr. Clay. You can order sutures from Amazon. You can get lidocaine in some cases. You can order things that you need to take care of yourself and maybe your immediate family that you might not ever. What am I looking for, Clay? Help me out. I'm trying not to out anyone.
May not normally expect to use or have.
Yes,
I've argued several times that times are getting more chaotic. Mm-hmm. And I think emergency services are getting more and more stressed.
Yep.
We're seeing more and more delays, problems, whatever. And, if the trends continue, which I think is likely, then, you will want to have the CERT class. You'll want to have the wilderness first responder class training. I think now more than, any time in the past, maybe 100 years, being able to provide for yourself is once again coming to the forefront and being increasingly important. Some of these, old skills in, OnlyFans. I presume everybody is somewhat familiar with OnlyFans. Instead of OnlyFans, we ought to get all these old grandmothers who can cook and sew and do all this stuff and have a grand fan channel where they are teaching some of these old life skills that, have just passed us by. It's hell, maybe I ought to start that. I don't know.
Oh, hell, Jane, we need to talk to you. We have the books. I bet you can forage like nobody's business. We've made rosemary tincture, which is an antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and it helps blood flow through the body. We've got books on mushrooms and such. And because let me tell you, Jane, I assume you know this already. The world's coming to a funny place at the moment. And if you can't provide for yourself, if you don't have a skill that is useful to everyone, you're screwed.
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel about it. I don't know what Jane thinks, but that's,
Yeah,
All
we
right, we
just
got
encourage everybody to take the whatever opportunity you have and learn. Learn something that will help you become more self-sufficient should you ever need to.
well,
Even
that's
if
why we
you
took
don't ever need
welding.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
even if you don't ever need to, a lot of times it's still terribly interesting and fun. Maybe helps build your confidence a little bit. So, never stop learning.
No.
But Jane, our master herbalist, we might put you on the reference list and
Heck yeah.
play 20 questions.
I think she gets a hat for that. Shane, you got to send oh crap, I haven't done it. Where is it? This one. Send us an email at moffatonmoney@gmail or moffatonmoney@gmail.com. We will send you a hat that says "Stupid should hurt."
It looks a lot like what Ellen is wearing.
It's the exact hat. I will take. I'm sorry, because I've had
In
a hat
fact, it
on.
looks an awful lot like the hat Ellen is wearing, but it does have the well-known
Stupid should hurt.
"Stupid should hurt," which is one of my favorite sayings. I've been known to say it a few times on this show.
All right, cheerful. There are some elder lady YouTubers on here. Good. Guy Ricky. I can open Granny fans. Grannies don't know how to use it. I asked my grandfather to get on here as well, and he's 96, and he was just like, okay, how are you doing? I was like, it's all good. 100% agree with you, says Jane. You must be self-sufficient and you must learn to barter. I live in predominantly Amish area, so I've learned. Oh, that is awesome. The Amish, I'm sorry, but they rock.
Yeah, I have never seen a barn raising.
I've heard it is. I've seen on video, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, but would like to see it. These people have the ability. There'll be, I don't know, 100 show up early one morning, and they spend the day building a barn and practically have the whole thing finished by the end of the day. It's kind of an amazing process. Brentwood, good to see you. Glad you made it. Hope everything went well.
Yes, I hope you are just not exhausted at this point, and you are, we're just glad that you're here. Let's see.
Cheerful. Video savvy grandkids, though.
That's what I was going for. Some of those grannies have video savvy grandkids, though. That's true. So,
maybe we do need to come up and put up a grand fan.
Yes, yep. And Jane, we're going to actually do, for members, we're going to do soon, I hope, Clay, a how to make your own bread, your own tortillas, your own butter, your own sour cream, all the things. That's sort of, so if you have anything to add to that, please let us know. We'd love to just, share any ideas that you got.
Yeah, some of this is really easy. And I was, seeing at the store the other day, the butter is like $7.
Yeah, he didn't believe me. I was like, butter's stupid expensive.
And, we can get a quart of heavy cream for two and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And make
3. Yeah.
Yeah. Make a pound of butter out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And to me, it has a slightly richer flavor than most butter. There's one butter, Kerrygold, that seems to be pretty good, but Ellen likes the homemade better.
Yeah, it's so much better.
Her taste buds are a lot more sensitive than mine. But it's easy, it's quick, and it's always available, and it's it's a little cheaper. The bread, same thing. We bought bread, and I realized it was on the counter for a month, still in the wrapper, and just, picked it up, looked at it, and pulled out a piece. It was fine. You could
It had
still
been
eat it.
it had been opened previously. So it
Yeah.
was like it wasn't like still wrapped in its original wrapper. And we're like, something's wrong about this.
And I'm like, if mold or fungus won't eat it after a month, I don't think I ought to be eating it. So
Nope.
that's when I, got the urge to start making bread. So I make a sandwich bread, I make a sourdough, which it's time for me to make another sourdough.
It is.
But
But
yeah, we will film that one night.
one of our biggest tests is if something is good or not, is that we ask Chunk to eat it.
Chunk will not eat processed food.
Nope.
Don't know what it is. Talou will eat anything and everything. Swallow it whole.
She's
Chunk?
like Mikey.
Yeah. No, no. Chunk is like Mikey. See if Mikey likes it. Mikey was the picky one in the commercial.
Oh, sorry. I got that backwards.
Yeah. But Chunk, with food, you hand him something, he won't just grab it. He'll sniff it and he'll think about it. And then he'll gently take it, lay it down, sniff it a little bit more, and then decide
And
whether
think
or not
about
to eat
it a
Yeah,
little bit
he
more.
does.
And he's like,
Even if
Chunk
he's
won't
had
eat
it
it,
before.
like 10 seconds ago, he still wants to do the discovery thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
He's funny. He's cute, but he's funny. But yeah, if Chunk won't eat it, if the mold and mildew, fungus won't eat it, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't eat it. So we have
Yeah,
the Chunk test.
Yeah, Clay used to get this processed meat from the store, and he was like, Chunk won't eat it. I was like, I wouldn't either. I was like, I don't even know what that is. It's not good for you. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
He was like, really? And I was like, Chunk won't eat it. But now he's become like famous for that. Chunk will not eat anything processed.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot pickier about the food we buy and consume, and trying to increasingly move more towards simpler foods, simpler products. Like bread. I want a maximum of 4 or 5 ingredients in my bread, not 15 or 20.
Exactly. No chemicals, no preservatives, none of that.
Yeah. So
And it's not that hard to do. And it's cheaper than buying a loaf of bread.
Yeah. In vegetables, I'm looking more for heirloom type vegetables. When I grow them, I will grow heirloom varieties instead of some of the newer varieties. You still got a lot of research to do in some of those areas, but I'm getting older, no lie, and just really desire just a simpler life and to eat a little bit cleaner, with the onset of the diabetes and, I had a couple tumors on my thyroid. It just made me, consider more what I'm putting in my body. Probably should have considered it a whole lot sooner.
And we're going to get to that very soon because I've got so many questions or bullet points for you to consider or give your opinion
Let's go ahead
on.
and get that started.
All right. Well, Melissa's buy your butter at Trader Joe's, but homemade is better. Listen, I still haven't made it at Trader Joe's every time we go by there because it's getting to be warm at the beach. It is so busy and it's the worst. You can't get out of there. It's crazy. But Mahoney is so mad at me about the treats. Like I'm getting there.
Yeah, Mahoney is her
there.
cat.
Yeah, I promised to get there tomorrow. She cries every night because she wants those darn treats. So anyway, all right, let's get to it. So I've got 20. How many? 25, 26, 25.
I don't know.
All right. 25 topics, and I want your policy on these bullet points. Okay.
My policy.
Mm-hmm. What
if
do you believe?
King, what do I believe?
You were king for a day. Okay. Do you want me to read my notes or no?
No, just go ahead and tell me what you got.
Okay. Healthcare.
I'm for it. Healthcare, one of the most highly regulated industries in this country, along with banking and financial services. Three most highly regulated industries in this country. So tell me, what are the top three industries in terms of bureaucracy, administrative expense, complexity, and lack of transparency?
Medical, government, and education.
Industries: medical, banking,
Oh,
securities,
education.
finance.
Okay. How is education not an industry?
It is, but it's not. It's getting worse. But the level of regulation of bureaucracy, the complexity, aspects of transparency are all far worse in healthcare. Remember, for those of you who are older, remember used to. I mean, hell, even in the 60s, you had doctors visiting the sick patients.
Mhm.
And when Medicare, Medicaid started, the doctors found out that they could get rich even treating the poor. So they started running the assembly line at office. But even, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, when you went to a doc's office, you met with the doctor and he would
But
sit down
Clay,
and talk to you.
that doesn't happen anymore because doctors don't make anything because the insurance is so high for
Well,
malpractice.
they still make good money compared to most people, but they don't make like they used to.
No,
Like they first
gynos
did.
are going out of business. Gynecologists are going out of business. They're like, it's just not worth it.
You're talking about OBs are going out of business.
OB
I don't think
gynecologists
gynos are. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I haven't seen gynos quit practicing. Now, a lot of doctors actually are increasingly retiring sooner because they're getting tired of being told what to do, how to do it, and how much to charge for it. So, but they're still able to retire younger, sooner, whatever.
All right, I'm going to limit you to a minute for each of these answers.
Okay. So, healthcare basically too overregulated. It's become too confusing, too complex, too inaccessible.
All right,
And I would
next.
attribute most of that to regulations.
Taxes.
Too high. Way too high. Average
Why?
family, average earner in the US with an income of 65,000 will work the months of January, February, March, and most of April just to pay their taxes before they buy an ounce of food for their family, before they pay for their housing, clothes, any of that. That burden is only increasing. That burden will only continue to increase over the next years. That's insane. That is just too much. Our, government services haven't improved. Again, they've likely only gotten worse. And the penalty that takes on the average family is obscene. That amount of taxes.
All right, next. Gender ideology.
I'm not a big gender kind of guy. I
you
don't
are.
really care.
You are all male.
Well, if I'm working with somebody or hiring somebody, I really don't care what gender you are. I care if you can do the damn job or not. I don't want to work with somebody whose personality, whose emotions will overwhelm others in the office or customers or clients. I want somebody with a nice appearance. When I was hiring secretaries, I used to have 3 secretaries just for me. And I would look for specific traits. Did they have a nice appearance? Did they have a nice voice? I don't know if nowadays this could get me in trouble, but when they're answering the phone and they represent you, your office, your work, your professionalism, I want somebody with a nice voice.
Hi.
Um,
Thank you for calling Moffat on Money. How can I help you?
exactly. You know, um, so if somebody is all about their gender, that's just annoying. You know, I don't care about your sexual proclivities. I don't care about your sexual orientation, but I damn sure don't want to hear about it all the time. So come in, maintain a professional appearance, demeanor, do your damn job.
Wait, hang on. So, Clay, you're saying that you don't go into work and talk about all of your sexual experiences at work?
Only I don't with other faculty. I only do that with students.
He's kidding. He's kidding. All right. Next, the woke indoctrination in schools.
A lot of it depends on, how you would define woke. So much of what I see defined as woke is almost there's a lot of revisionist history going on.
Mhm.
Now, I believe history is written by the winners. I think generally a lot of the history that we cover is incomplete. I freely admit that. But
True.
there, a nation needs to have certain shared values. A community needs to have certain shared values. And if somebody is continually trying to undermine those values for a set of values that have consistently failed through history, yeah, no, count me out. Not a
Well,
fan.
when I think when we're talking about woke indoctrination in schools, I think we're talking about the transgender issue. Obviously, we're talking about meritocracy. We're talking about, is that better than equality of outcomes?
A lot of people who are woke are just obsessed with making everything racial, with what they would define as social justice, which you probably could also define as equal outcomes versus equal opportunity. Who was it? Morgan Freeman. I believe it was Morgan Freeman was talking about how if you want to end racism, just quit talking about race all the time.
I agree.
Just,
And that's not popular.
yeah, Martin Luther King, and I had a dream, said he dreamed for the day when people would be judged by the content of their character instead of the color of their skin. Well, if you tell people that today, they'll call you racist.
Yep.
It's amazing the transition we've had. And it's a transition. I mean, Harvard now is having separate graduation ceremonies for blacks. Schools are having separate dorms and administrative buildings or offices, for blacks and
Well, Clay,
Hispanics, different races.
segregation is on its way back.
Yeah, and I just, I think that's stupid. Utterly, completely, totally stupid.
Yeah, as the son of a man who fought to or for the existence of unsegregation, is that the word for it? Or for
Desegregation.
Desegregation. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I think he was right. I'm very proud of what he did, and the risk he took.
But is it all kind of being blown up in your face now that they're trying to resegregate?
No, I do find myself saying nil carborundum illegitimi a lot, which is Latin. A rough translation, it would be don't let the bastards get you down. I just can't afford energy wise or to have any profitability to it to engage every idiot in debate trying to convince them that they're wrong. I have my views, my principles. I'm content in those. I'm comfortable with those. And I don't feel the need to try to go around engaging in useless debate. Now, if somebody wants to sit down and have an honest to God, reasonable discussion, any day, all day. That's kind of what we do on this channel, or try to do on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of people that follow this channel that don't agree with me on everything. And I love you. I probably, sometimes I may not even agree with me, if I look back over time.
We know I don't always. So
yeah, I think a reasonable person will amend their views to the facts. And so a lot of times we form opinions based on incomplete information.
Hang on.
Oh.
Can I interrupt you there?
No, go ahead.
You said a reasonable person will conform their views to the facts.
Will amend their opinion to the
facts.
Or
amend their opinion to the facts. Will they amend it to their feelings? And how does that work out?
Yeah, I don't think principles necessarily emanate from feelings. I think feelings are important in the human experience. They lend a certain graciousness, a certain humanity. They have a place. But in terms of determining principles, I would look more toward absolutes. I look at everybody, and I think they are of infinite value. And as such, regardless of their state, condition, financial resources, education level, whatever, they deserve my respect. I mean, there are some jobs I just respect the hell out of. The janitors, the maid keeping services. I love those people. Trashmen, people who pump
out, yes, and pump out Rena-Johns, and
yeah, I love those people because they do a job I damn sure would not want to, and I love them for doing it. So, most any place I've worked, I've always tried to learn the names of the cleaning staff, and I'll, on occasion, I'll thank them for what they do.
And you also, I got to give you this because I have done this at home, and it has not always pleased you. I will go in, I'll clean up Clay's desk, and I'll reorganize things the way I think they should be. And he's like, I can't find a damn thing now. It's clean, but I can't find anything. So I saw a sign on his desk at work, and it pretty much said in Spanish, do not clean the desk. Do not touch the desk. I know where my crap is, and it's got to be here the exact same way when I come back, or I am lost.
I had it on the back of my monitor so the maid could see it just as soon as they walked in, because I have lost one test in my career, and it was when my desk was cleaned. I'm not going to say the maid put it in a pile that I couldn't, find or locate it. I don't know what happened. I'm not blaming them, but I wanted to eliminate the possibility of anybody else being responsible for something that went wrong on my desk or with stuff on my desk. So everybody is well aware I'm the only one allowed to mess with anything on my desk, because
yes,
sometimes it looks a little disheveled, but I have a system. I know where things are.
However, that's pretty funny when you brought home, this was during 2020, you brought home the year's previous papers and started grading those because they were in your office. You had to clean everything out, get it home. And you were like, I have just spent 3 hours going over papers from last year, grading them. He was like, I had no idea. Yeah, that was pretty infuriating for you. Because you love to be a writing teacher, English teacher.
Yeah. No comment. Next.
Okay. Next. All right. School choice.
And, let me ask y'all, if y'all have any questions, comment, or input, speak now.
This is Q&A. Come on, y'all. If you have something totally unrelated that you want to talk about, pop it up there.
If you think I'm nuts on, some of this, or you have a different definition of woke, how would y'all define woke? I'm just curious. How would
We
each of you
accept everyone
define
here.
woke?
We accept every
That
opinion
word is
here.
used
This
a
is
lot.
what? Woke?
Yeah, that word is used a lot, but most people don't really know how to do it. There was had a discussion in class, and one of what are some of the biggest problems do you think to your future success? And some girl said something about misogynistic guys,
Huh?
and I'm like, okay, how do you define misogyny? She really struggled with that. I kind
I
of
bet she
shifted the
did.
topic away, didn't leave a lot of pressure on her, but we oftentimes use words that we really don't define well. And I think words have meanings. Melissa, it seems to be used as a derogatory term these days. That and fascist. If somebody doesn't like somebody, they'll call them woke, or they'll call them a fascist without any real identification of their particular beliefs or ideology that they are trying to describe or attribute to the person. Brentwood, woke is something that is defined differently by different people. Yeah, I kind of agree. That's why I was defining it before I described it in terms of somebody that is, I guess, obsessed by racism and what they would describe as social justice.
I agree, Jane.
Jane Post, woke is used as terms of abuse. That's interesting.
It's not that the woke terms are abuse, but if you oppose the things, then you're abusive. Is that correct, Jane? Is that what you were trying to say? I think maybe, but
yeah, I do think it's used almost in an ad hominem sense a lot of times by people, just like the term fascist is used as an ad hominem attack without any real attributing of characteristics or beliefs or whatever.
I think it's used just as like the words they use. It's just like an automatic response to anything that they can't actually argue with
or debate. Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Yeah,
but do want to be clear on this show as far as the words we use. Not that you'll agree, and please, if you have a different definition or explanation or understanding, throw it out. By all means, throw it out. But I will try to be as clear and accurate as I can when doing some of this.
Well, that's part of the problem. I mean, like, this is a stupid way to do this, but when I was a hairstylist, somebody would say, "I want French bangs." I was like, "Well, what does that mean to you? What does that word mean? What does that style mean to you? I want a bob. What does that mean to you in your own, like," because people will say things and they don't necessarily understand the meaning. Me being a professional, knowing exactly what those things are. And it's just a word they're using to describe something they think. And I'm like, show me a picture. What does it mean? Because I need to know exactly what you're talking about. Else you're going to be unhappy.
We live in a soundbite era. Yeah. Used to, people would stand on the street corner and talk for hours about differences in politics or religion and go, fairly in depth in the discussion on the implication and the consequences of those ideas. Well, nowadays we just throw out a soundbite. I'm for it's like a beauty pageant. It's like intelligent discussion has been reduced to the level of a beauty pageant. Like, I support world peace, and everybody's happy. Melissa, I miss the 90s.
I do too. Like
Yeah.
black was black, white was white, green was green, blue was blue.
It was a more peaceful era.
And there
was a
wasn't
whole less
yeah.
anger and angst and conflict.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, oh God, Carson, we love you, Carson. I still tried to give you membership, didn't happen again. But anyway, those of you who did, we are grateful to have you. Come on in.
All right, next.
Okay, which we were on. I thought we did school choice, and you didn't.
No, didn't do that one.
Okay, big tech censorship. Wait, hang on. We sound like a bunch of crackheads. That's what we sound like on Tea Times.
I mean, I sound funny on 1X. I was talking about having a good voice. My voice is good for getting people's attention at certain
when you
times.
yell and loud?
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
I may not have the best voice for radio or TV or YouTube or whatever. It's serviceable. It's not the worst one, but would I hire me to answer the phone? No.
You gotta give you though. I mean, you were a bouncer for Queen Latifah, Dave Matthews, all those people. And your voice, when you want it heard, it is heard. Like across a stadium, it would be heard because you are not a quiet guy.
Good, I'm sweet.
You are sweet. You have a good heart.
All right, next. What was the next one? 1X sounds like everybody's drunk.
Because they're
Carson, welcome back.
Low. All right, no, it was big tech censorship.
All right. There is kind of two conflicting things in my opinion, real quick. One is that private firms have the right to offer their services to whoever they want. They're not shouldn't be required to do things outside of their desires. But a lot of the big tech, and I forget the provision, but Congress passed a law that protected them.
230.
230 was it? That protected them from lawsuits based on the content, like Twitter, based on the content of what people posted. Because Twitter didn't have an editorial board that reviewed everything. So Twitter wasn't per se liable for anything somebody posted.
For an example, hang on. So this is not true. Don't take this out of context. If I said, I hate Hamas, and Hamas sued whatever, if I said it on Facebook, Hamas cannot sue Zuckerberg for what I said. Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
So they had this legal protection in order to, quote unquote, encourage free speech, different ideas, varying opinions, contrary opinions. And then once they had this protection, they started censoring and using editorial powers to limit opinions they didn't like or agree with. And it wasn't necessarily opinions that were supporting violence. I mean, the famous example is Al-Qaeda kept its Twitter while certain conservatives lost theirs.
Or even liberals like RFK Jr.
Yeah. Lost theirs. And so if you're operating under protections of government for purposes of free speech, I think that then imbues a responsibility to allow free speech. You can't selectively, you can't have those kind of protections by government and then you have the imprimatur of a free speech forum, of a town hall forum, but censor certain ideas or opinions. So big tech, if they don't operate under that government umbrella of protections, if they're liable for the content that they post, publish, or allow, then they ought to censor what they want. Got no problem with that. If they have that protection to encourage free speech, to allow free speech, then free speech ought to be allowed. In a nutshell.
All right, I'm sending you a private chat. Sorry. To you and Brentwood. Hang on one sec. There's not an issue. It's just for some reason X just dropped me. Anyway, next. All right.
Yeah, Brentwood, Jane talks about she was in a group and got censored for an article she posted about herbs. And then Brentwood states the trouble is often agreeing on what should be censored. See,
free
speech. I don't think anything ought to be censored except communicating violent threats or advocating violent overthrow of a government.
And hate speech, that's such a fine line. Like you can say, I hate my pimples. Hang on. You can say, I hate my pimples. And somebody has pimples, so they're just picking on me. No, that is not a thing. That's not how this works.
I mean, you got to understand the reason for the First Amendment. Opinions and thoughts that everybody agrees with don't need protection. It's only the ideas that bother people, that they find offensive or they don't agree with. Those are the ideas that need protection. And so even what we classify as hate speech, I would say let the idiots post it. It just identifies them for, it shows what their character and true nature is. And that is historically how we have discovered the idiots and chosen not to promote them, chosen not to vote for them, chosen not to associate with them. They have the right to be an idiot. They have a right to express opinions that I find objectionable or whatever. They don't have the right to threaten me or my family. They don't have the right to advocate violence against somebody or the government.
No. All right. This is one of the topics. I'm going to go ahead and show this and give you the topic. This is the next one of the topics is COVID-19 response, mandates and data.
Do what now?
The COVID-19 response.
Yeah.
The mandates and the data that were given to us.
The mandates were bullshit. They were just they were abuse of governmental powers and overreach. The information that they communicated was oftentimes false, misleading. You would have emails from CDC officials, from Fauci's department, talking about how the virus was not organic in nature, that it had been engineered, and then they would, come out publicly and say, "Oh, it was because of a bat mutated virus."
Bullshit.
And they knew it at the time. The whole thing about
the damn thing.
Yeah, the whole thing about masks. When I was working in surgery, we knew that masks didn't protect us from bacterial or viral infections. A virus, a mask, just a surgical mask protecting you from a viral infection is kind of like trying to contain smoke with a chain link fence. It's just not going to happen. And there are over 160 studies that show that. That's not my opinion. That is just absolute, clear, undeniable research. some of the COVID people, they would put forth one study in which they used mannequins, and they would take a sprayer and spray particles and then estimate the distance, and
No,
what it wasn't a real study.
there was no study. They actually made up the 6-foot rule. They just were like,
Well, yeah,
they'll
but I'm
never
talking
go
about
for
the
12.
study showing that
Oh, for
masks prevent
masks.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll never go for 10, 12 feet. So let's just pick
And
something in
keeping
between.
people away from seeing their infirm, sick parents, grandparents as they were in, convalescent homes, possibly
That was
dying.
cruel.
Yeah. So, and the whole thing, it ruined kids. It truly, truly set back the kids in the educational system, particularly in the elementary and high school years. They still have not recovered.
No, it's more
They're-
depression, more anxiety, less learning.
Suicide soared.
Yep.
There was no good outcome. In fact, studies show that it probably only exacerbated the COVID contagion, because to be infected with COVID is a function of the viral load, and that load is a function of exposure in terms of time and number of virus. So if you're locked in with somebody who's infected, your chances of catching it are far higher than if you were outside around somebody who is infected. So keeping people locked up actually guaranteed more spread and more infections. It was just absolutely, utterly stupid from a medical viewpoint. And so many doctors, it probably is a testimony to the poor training many doctors go through, because many doctors bought into it.
They had to, or they would lose their license.
Well, even the ones controlling that aspect bought into it. And this is not debatable in the research literature.
Yep.
This is not my opinion. I can and if you won't, email me. I'll send you a ton of the studies that show viruses are not contained by a surgical mask. If you ever look at a level 3 biolab that deals with dangerous viruses, you will see the people wearing contained respirators and full hazmat suits and gear. They don't just walk around with surgical masks, because surgical masks are useless at containing the spread of bacteria or virus.
Isn't it supposed to just protect the person?
Watch
from
somebody vaping.
Splash.
Watch somebody vaping. When they exhale, you're going to see the smoke pouring out the sides and up the top. So each one of the, what you can't see is each one of those is a moisture molecule that contains the virus, and they are elevated. They're suspended higher in the air, which makes them more easily, makes it easier for them to infect somebody than a normal respiration, which would cast it downwards. It's just stupid.
All right, Jane. The Amish never complied, and none of the Amish in my community died of COVID.
Bingo.
All right, one more. Brentwood is someone who works in healthcare. My biggest issue was number of people who passed due to COVID when they really passed with COVID. Yeah, because the hospitals got so much more money. So much more money if they said died of COVID.
Yeah, there for a while, the government was paying hospitals an additional $10,000 for every COVID death, and doctors got additional fees. And that was supposed to compensate for the loss of beds, or, setting up COVID units, which would take up more beds and make other surgeries have to wait.
Or the PPE they had to do.
Yeah.
Had to acquire.
But it ended up being, a huge boon, just like the vaccine was a huge boon for Pfizer and Moderna. There were people who died from gunshots that were labeled as COVID deaths. There were people that had, terminal cancer that were labeled as COVID deaths.
COVID-19 is literally every cold or flu you've ever had. It's the same freaking thing in a test.
And I'll admit to being misled. Back in October, November of 19, I've had a lot of Chinese friends, contacts, whatever, and so I've always followed China's, media somewhat closely. And their media was just replete with video of people falling in the street and, tractor trailers that were being used as temporary morgues. And they just communicated basically to the whole world. And, I was sitting there watching it, that this was a plague to end all plagues, that it was highly contagious and highly lethal.
Do you think any of that was real, or was it a play by whom to scare the hell out of the world?
It makes me wonder. I can't prove it one way or another. I just, I just shake my head. I don't know. I haven't seen any good research or studies on it. And, even in this country, you had the government, like New York, took all the nursing homes, the extra beds in the nursing homes, and used them for COVID patients, which that's the most susceptible population to respiratory infections. And so, putting all these infected COVID patients around 70, 80, 90-year-old people increased their death rate, when, quite possibly that never would have happened if they hadn't been used. The treatment, putting them on a respirator ended up being counterproductive, causing more fatalities than would have occurred otherwise.
And
using remdesivir.
I was going to say that was that. I told Clay, I said, if I have to go to the hospital for COVID, I said, do not let them give me that drug. I will die.
Yeah.
That is the purpose of that medication.
Some of the nurses I knew called it "run, death is near."
Yep.
And, how do you inject somebody with a drug that you think is going to contribute to their death or kill them?
Yeah. Because the government,
it was just a wild time in medicine.
Or Clay, because Melissa, the director said so.
One time I got COVID was at a Doctor Who convention. Threw me off a little bit there. Everyone had to be vaxxed and masked the whole weekend.
Yeah.
And that's just it. We found out that after you get the second or third booster, that the immunity against COVID turns negative, which means you are more likely to come down with COVID.
And not just COVID, anything.
Yeah, there is some evidence that there's a weakening of the immune system. But it looks like COVID, as it has mutated, has become more and more like a cold. So it's not even as severe as it was initially. Jane, I got COVID. My doctor was brave and gave me ivermectin. I only lost my smell and taste for 2 days. No other symptoms. There's some studies out that show that, ivermectin lowered the mortality rate. Some studies show that it didn't impact it at all. But I think the big key, from what I can tell reading and I still read the medical literature. Like I say, my undergraduate's in biochemistry. I went to med school for a year, worked in surgery for several years, worked with a transplant organization for a year. So dearly love medicine. But my understanding of, from what I can tell the literature is, one, the dosage, the companion medicines, and the point in the development of the virus is critical. That ivermectin shows some efficacy when used with an antibiotic, hydroxychloroquine, you know,
Got
maybe is it
chloroquine,
vitamin D, zinc,
zinc, vitamin
uh,
C.
as a effective treatment if initiated early. It also may have some prophylactic advantages, applications. So
Yeah,
main thing is
Clay
we
and I
haven't
both.
got good studies or good data.
Yeah, Clay and I both took ivermectin and hydroxy when we had COVID, and we were fine. It's not a horse dewormer. It's people have taken both these medications for eons.
That drug won the Nobel Prize, and it wasn't because it was a great horse dewormer. You know, it has probably saved more lives than most any other drug, except maybe the polio vaccine. But
Yep.
it has, and has been, has repeatedly been attributed with some antiviral properties. The con crud I got at this past convention was far worse than COVID, dear Lord.
Melissa, there is a learning curve here. Stop going. Don't get all the crap. They're coming from all over the place. You'd have no idea what they've got, honey. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, we want you healthy.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm just saying, Melissa, we love you too much to.
We want you healthy. I was on a cocktail of Jane. I was on a cocktail of herbs, which I 100% agree helped as well.
Please send us that on our email, because we're trying to find all the things. Like, we do the rosemary tincture, we do a ton of stuff, but please let us know.
Carson, I'm aware of 0 people I know that died from Rona, but I know of 3 people I know that had serious adverse reactions to the shots.
The jabs.
Not only that, but turbo cancers have blown up. I just saw a paper published the other day where the cancer death rate for 25 to 55-year-olds has soared the last year.
It's also 20% higher death rates or unexplained. The death rate has soared 20% from usual since the vaccine. Sorry, does that make sense?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot more attention being focused now on some of how does the vaccine work exactly, and what does it do? Some people argue it's
not a
gene
vaccine.
Therapy.
It's not a vaccine.
I'm trying to finish. A lot of people argue that it is gene therapy. There's debate on that, but that's one area that's being closely examined. Its mechanism. Does it end up weakening the immune system? Does it end up triggering certain cancers that, most everybody may be carrying, but that lie dormant? The cells are dormant. So there's a lot of different areas of study, and, we just are beginning really to consider some of those aspects.
Also, Clay and I would talk more about this. However, we will get taken off of YouTube. Yikes. But Ron Johnson did a panel of international doctors. This was 3-4 weeks ago. It is on Rumble. He got taken off of YouTube. I would love for y'all to go check that out. It was just a round table, Ron Johnson. And when I find the link, I'll put it on the description. But it was very eye-opening as to what is exactly going on and what happened. It was Ron Johnson, it was Malone, it was doctors from all kinds of countries. One of them saying that it was because there wasn't enough, what was it, in our gut? Clay, I sent you the article. And
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, one poop doctor said it's because the vaccine actually killed the thing in your gut that actually fights the vaccine. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Rumble.
debate. there's a lot of debate, and I'm going to just label it this way. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's still some research and work that needs to be done. The vaccine was an experimental drug. Even, Pfizer and the FDA tried to cover up the actual test results that they had done. They wanted, if you remember, they wanted 75 years to release the data. So, there's a lot of things in there that would normally have indicated that it not be released. And that's all I'll say about that. Melissa, I know a few people who have died from COVID and none of them were vaxxed.
I'm not vaxxed. I've had it twice. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that has died. And I'm just really, I look at all these different bits of information, anecdotal and, and some of the research, and I just want to see more controlled studies, random controlled trials on the actual incidents and the actual mechanism of the vaccine before I pass final judgment.
All right, next.
Because right now I can't prove it either way. So, and individuals' experience, like you say, are going to vary, and that's legit.
Absolutely.
All right, next.
All right. 2A.
2A, the well-known Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. And foreigners sometimes will ask, why do y'all have guns? And sometimes in the past I've taken them out shooting, and when they're done, they're like, okay, but
guy, no, you don't get to do that. That's not how this works.
Shot my husband and told everyone he died of COVID.
And cheerful, we'll get to that. Oh, crap.
Second Amendment. Let me quote it. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Mm-hmm. A lot of people today want to argue that the militia is the National Guard. So this only applies to the state supplying weapons to the National Guard. However, if you look at it in colonial times, the militia was every able-bodied male age 18 to 60.
It was we the people.
The militia was the people. Being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Remember, the people that wrote this had just fought a war against an obtrusive government. The reason for the Second Amendment isn't to hunt deer. It's to enable the people to rise up against the government. And people go, it wouldn't happen today. It wouldn't need to happen today. Well, I would, have them consider Athens, Tennessee. After World War II, I think it was a sheriff's race. I need to refresh on this, but a corrupt sheriff won the election. And a lot of the vets thought the sheriff, the mayor, won what the vets thought was a corrupt election. So they grabbed their M1 Garands, which they were able to keep coming back from the war, and they marched and surrounded Town Hall, forcing the mayor and the sheriff to resign. If you've ever watched the movie V for Vendetta, it's a good movie. It's an entertaining movie. But in it, the quote is that people shouldn't fear their government. Government should fear the people.
They should. They don't.
And that's really the motive behind the Second Amendment. So I wish I had guns. I lost them all in the hurricane and a severe boating accident, and when the previous house blew up, all those kind of things. So, but yeah, I believe in the Second Amendment. I actually like blowing up stuff.
He
So
does. Hang on. I had to put that up there. YouTube rejected my comment. Okay. I said I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy. And they said I was rejected. All right. LOL Clay, same thing happened to me. I'm not sure where I was typing. I have no idea what's going on, but clearly I'm.
Lots of boat accidents.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where I lost all my guns.
We have hurricane, no firearms. They're all gone.
The snowstorm.
Yep. So. Okay, so we had cheerful opinion on RSV. Or wait till later. Can I give my opinion? Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
I think RSV is a condition of vaccines, especially in children. Right now, we have a 60% comorbidity rate in the United States. 60% of people are comorbid. The rate 60 years ago, before we had all these vaccines, was 6%. And I had RSV recently, but I think it's usually, is it not a children's virus?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Things have changed so much. Back when I was a kid, nobody had a peanut allergy or a gluten allergy or anything. And we ate simpler foods.
And autism was not such a big thing.
No. So is it vaccines? Is it the food? Is it too much TV? Is it what? I don't know. But I think it's a fair statement to say that the health of the general population, the general child, now is worse than it was 60 years ago.
Oh, God, yes.
Exactly why? I don't know.
Maybe 80 vaccines?
If I was a parent, I would be much more cautious with 80 vaccines. I'd be much more cautious with the diet. I think, from what I've seen in research, it's beneficial to introduce, a few little peanuts while the mother is pregnant, while she's nursing. Even give the baby a few simple little peanut things when they're young and growing, just to try to prevent that allergy. Jane, my neuropath said it's the GMO and the pesticides causing the allergies. Like I say, food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, naturopath. Could be the food, could be the vaccines, could be a combination, could be, the fluoride in the water. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. But I do honestly believe there's something going on. And we need to figure out what it is.
Sorry, my nose still itches. I'm trying to not do the things.
All right, next one.
But I do want to snip this because I think you'll find it funny. Okay. Where is it?
Well, while you're looking for that, why don't you throw out the next one so we can keep this going?
Wait, hang on. Before that, what is a TSP listener?
I figured you would know every one of the acronyms on YouTube by now.
I know the 3-letter agencies. The T.
Yeah, I have no idea what TSP.
All right.
Brentwood.
Wait. I don't know that either. Okay, good. Carson, what the fuck are you talking about? That's what we're saying.
Brentwood, RSV has been around a long time. Adults always got it, but had just a bad cold compared to being deadly to children. They're just testing it in adults now. More fear mongering, in my humble opinion.
Oh, sweetie, I just had it. It is not fun. And I don't know why
No.
I had it because I am not a candidate for it. It is just very, very strange to me.
But I kind of agree with you on the fear mongering. There are those who do want to exert more control over the population, and they were able to do that to a great degree during the COVID, the lockdowns, etc. We've talked about the Great Reset, how there are organized efforts to
Yeah.
try to, they have certain goals, like you will own nothing and be happy is their motto.
You'll eat bugs.
You'll eat less meat, more bugs. You'll never have to leave your home. You won't even own your home. You won't own a car. So your ability to get out and socialize, to, take trips, all of that will be greatly reduced. They do say, you may be planning a trip to Mars. Seriously, you won't own anything. You won't even be able to buy meat, but you're going to be taking a trip to Mars.
No, you're not. They are. The ones who tell you that you're not going to eat the things. And
the ones who are eating meat and still traveling all around, it's kind of like climate change. When the people who are preaching climate change endlessly quit flying around in their private jets, staying at 5-star hotels, getting $100,000 speaker fee, quit buying houses on the beach, estates on the beach, when they start living like they actually are worried about the climate, I'll be a hell of a lot more apt to believe them. But until then, I'm kind of in Missouri.
Well, you kind of answered that. So, I'm trying to find something here. I've got plenty. I'm just trying to find one that.
Also, on climate change, I find it kind of laughable. A lot of them are concerned about CO2, methane, and cow farts. I think, I mentioned this.
Is
previously.
Methane the same thing as carbon dioxide?
No.
You said CO2.
Yeah. And methane.
Okay.
Methane is, if I remember, I want to say it's CO3. No. It's a CH4 group hydride. But methane is also known as marsh gas, because if you walk into a marsh, you can smell that methane odor. It is a gas that occurs from the decomposition of organic material, plant material, grass, weeds, trees. As they decay,
Sulfur.
they release methane. All the cows do is speed up that process by eating the grass, the hay, the leaves, whatever. They don't create more methane. They just go ahead and produce some of it in the summer instead of waiting till the fall. So there's you could argue there's a little bit of front loading, but that's insignificant in the overall scheme of things. CO2 is 0.4% of the atmosphere. It comprises 0.4% of the atmosphere. Humans are responsible for 0.3% of that 0.4%.
Can we just can I clarify something right here? What do green trees and plants consume?
Well, yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
CO2 is actually, as Ellen just alluded to, is plant food. If the level of CO2 fell, instead of being 0.4, if it fell to 0.2, the vast majority of plant life in this world would die. In terms of its impacting climate, there is not one study out there that shows a mechanism by where CO2 can change temperatures or severe weather, anything along those lines.
Yeah, if we get rid of CO2, we don't have plants.
It is a hugely insignificant component in the atmosphere, but it is a critical one for the survival of vegetation. So, another reason why I'm not necessarily a big climate change fearmonger. Does the climate change? Certainly it does. Has changed throughout time. We had hotter temps. What was it in the 90s?
Don't know.
And, since then there have been 7 billion tons of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere, and yet it's cooler now than it was then. Climate varies. I agree with that completely. The cause of it, I would attribute more to the action of the sun, Maunder minimums, Maunder maximums, those kind of changes in solar flares and activity, and our proximity to the sun in terms of distance.
Yep.
Just my thoughts. Next.
Okay. All right. As far as the USA, peace through strength.
Where did you get these topics from?
I'm not telling you.
Peace through strength. I don't know of a country that ever waged war on another nation that was stronger and that they felt assured they would defeat them. Since World War II, there's been this era called Pax Americana. Now, we've had a lot of small wars. We've obviously been involved in a bunch of shootings, but there have been no major wars or conflicts. They've all been between one nation or two, or on a very small regional scale. Russia's invasion of the Ukraine basically involves an area the size of, I don't know, Florida, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being prepared to where nobody else wants to attack you or attack your allies is a good thing. And wars back in Washington's time when the Constitution was written took 6 months to a year by the time it was declared before the shooting began, because you had such distances, armies had to march, ships had to sail the Atlantic, that kind of thing. So you had a year to try to build up your army, draft people, get them trained, equip them, whatever. If they didn't have their own guns, which they all did. Nowadays, wars will be over in a matter of days. You don't have the luxury of time to scale up a military.
Nope.
So you have to be prepared from day one, or else you will experience huge losses and possibly lose the war. We took on the 4th largest army in the world in Iraq, and it was over in 9 days. And that was really without our full effort. Sky Ricky, I've had every shot and I never get sick. If I'm not here Saturday night, I will probably be dead.
We don't want you dead, love. That's not how this works. Everyone has their own decision about what they do. That is not, we don't judge anyone. But
if you need more shots, go get them. We just want you here.
Yeah. We love you. We want you here. Please.
Yeah, the the idea is to discuss different thoughts, ideas, and pass on information. You know, I've received a lot of information from y'all during some of these talks and discussions, and I
We
welcome
learn a lot from you guys too.
Yeah. You know, a number of minds, a number of thoughts are far better than just one. So hence Q&A.
Yeah, we definitely want you guys' thoughts, comments.
I'm
We're
not
not here to
bashful
just
about
talk.
Yeah, I'm not bashful about sharing my opinions, and I hope you aren't as well.
And
Particularly as
Clay
you
is
grow
not.
more comfortable.
Yeah, and Clay and I are not people who will trash you, like just turn on you for your opinion. We just want a conversation because I think more of that should happen these days than does. And if you disagree with us, please tell us. We're not going to shit on you at all. We just, no, we won't. But we just want to, you know, we want a discussion. Say, okay, why do you think that? Maybe you can change our mind. We don't know.
Yeah. In my first marriage, my father was my best man, but the other man, groomsman, was a friend of mine from college. And he was Teddy Kennedy's state chairman. He was a pinko liberal commie kind of guy.
Don't say
And we
commie.
would sit he was pretty liberal. I even called him that. But we would sit all night and just discuss and debate these issues. He laughs because one night I got irritated at 2 a.m. in the morning. I went to the library to
You would.
find a article in the New York Times, print it off, and then take it to him to prove my point. He thought that
is
was
so you.
hilarious.
That is so you. Because you love to just like, Ellen, you're wrong because this. But no, seriously, like on the channel, we'd love to hear opposing views. Not to shut you down, just to, if you know something better than we do, we want to know like what's going on.
It was a friendly debate, and he was my best friend.
Good.
So,
all right, last one, because you know it's almost 9 o'clock. So I got one more. All right. And I'm going to read the topic and then my little notes. Immigration policy. Stop. Okay. Okay. The welfare system did not exist when most of our ancestors came to this country. How has that been beneficial or not beneficial to America? The welfare policy with immigration.
I mean, you know,
boom.
Immigrants. We've always loved and welcomed immigrants, but the immigrants who came wanted to be Americans. They wanted to build a new life, build a better life for them and their family. We have always had a diverse populace. We've always been kind of pluralistic. Now, when I use the word pluralistic, it implies or indicates a diversity of opinion around a set of principles. Immigrants have always held those core principles of what it means to be an American. And Ellen, you're dying to say something. Go ahead.
I got a tinkle. So I'm just saying, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
As much as I will still listen, but I gotta.
In case you get bored, we always have Ellen. So there was always this underlying principle that everybody could agree on and share. They might have, you know, different cultures, different religions, whatever. But immigrants always shared the same basic values as any other American. They wanted to be an American. Nowadays, who was the guy? I think ICE just caught him, but he had a series of videos showing, and it was playing all over, you know, Central America, showing people how to squat in nice houses and which states and what areas to do it, training them how to raid a house and live there. You know, if you're from a third world nation, that's pretty damn attractive. You know, and then you've got cities like New York that are putting the illegal immigrants up in 4-star, 3-star hotels, giving them food service, giving them Visa cards with a $10,000, you know, line of credit on it so that they can buy whatever food they want if they, you know, can't get enough of room service. Are these people really coming to help build a better country? Or are they just coming for the financial benefits? You know, damn the country. We've all seen the video of the terrorist crossing into the border. We you know that gangs like MS-13 have done a lot of recruiting and bringing people up over the border, the open borders. You've seen a lot of, you know, military aged males crossing the border with no family, no children. You've seen, you know, a lot of children coming across the border without parents, without family members. They have a quote unquote guardian. Just a couple months ago, the Customs Bureau admitted that it had lost count of 80,000 children in the last year alone, that it could not identify who they were with or where they were. What's the likelihood some, most, many, all of those ended up in a sex trafficking environment? So there are problems. I think there are serious problems. You see, in a lot of states, there's a move to give these people the vote, allow them to vote in elections. Basically canceling out citizens' votes. I have a problem with that. So, you know, they're just some severe problems. I don't know if y'all agree or not, but those are my thoughts. So, anybody have any questions, other comments? Be glad to take them or your feedback. It's been kind of an unusual night. Ellen had these different little topics that she wanted to throw out. And I, you know, I said, fine. So actually she's hollering at me, yelling at me to hang on because she's coming. She has apparently been able to powder her nose. Gone down and gotten her a little something to drink.
You have turned my dogs into little freaks.
Why?
Because if they're not right with the mama, they think that there's something wrong with them. Clay has told the dogs since day one to protect the mama. They have taken that so seriously to the point that they lose their minds.
Now, let me ask you, honest question. Who of y'all believes that this dog understands what protect the mama is?
All of them.
And then there's always Chunk. Come on. And then here's the Chunk, ready to protect the mama.
Protecting the mama. Mm-hmm. See, they're all about the mama. You have seriously made them into mama freaks.
Chunk is going nuts.
Anyway, Chunk. I know mama's okay. They were sitting by the gate on the stairs, freaking out.
Food for thought. Thanks, Ellen.
Which food?
I think she's referring to the 20 questions thing you came up with.
I didn't even get through like half of them. There's so much. We did 1A, we did 2A, we did, what was the last one?
Immigration.
Okay. What about fiscal responsibility? Yes, the dogs do love their mamas. They are, but Clay has told them since they were like, since he met Tallulah and since Chunk was born, that their job is to protect the mama.
Which, if they had a brain cell, they would recognize that it was a joke. Their ability to
You're
protect
just
the
cruel.
mama
You're just cruel, is
It's-
what you're saying.
is
Good job.
relatively limited. Protect the mama from, a stuffed sheep.
Or from banging her head into the freaking
Yeah.
door jam.
So it is past 9 o'clock.
I'm not going to answer that one.
We'll save it for another night.
It's my bedtime. We have so many things. We didn't even get to the jobs that were created for immigrants versus the jobs that we've lost in the U.S.
Yeah, there's more to cover.
gotta get to that.
If I hadn't had such a long couple of weeks, I got to admit I'm getting a little drained. If I hadn't had such a long couple of weeks, some of these nights we might just go for a few more out, for an hour or whatever more.
Mama
So-
equals treats. No, daddy equals treats. Daddy is the treat. Daddy, I swear to God, every time he goes to the kitchen, the dogs are like, what's daddy doing? We're going to get some. Happy birthday, GB.
Yay, GB. Happy birthday, you animal.
No, but listen, Clay is the treat man, and they know that. They know that every time he gets something to eat, they get some. But did you do this yet?
Oh, no. Melissa, here you go. For those of you who may be watching the channel for the first time, I should have mentioned this at the first. Sorry, I forgot. But book club, April 16th, Tuesday. Raptor Red.
It's
By
on Zoom.
popular request. It's also on, the meeting will be held on Zoom so that you can participate, chip in, chime in, whatever. It's supposed to be a really, really good, entertaining read. The review, Michael Crichton may be a great storyteller, but even he wouldn't have the nerve to write a dinosaur novel told from the dino's point of view. So, Raptor Red.
Yes, I received this today. Ordered it yesterday. $7.99 from Amazon. I'm looking forward to reading it. Excited about it. And please show up. I mean, show up and do it, because Clay and I have been
It's fun.
going back.
You'll
and
have
forth
fun. You'll enjoy it. Yeah.
about, should we do it or not?
Yeah. You'll have fun.
So it is a lot of fun. You can be anonymous. You can do whatever. Just give your thoughts. And
even
fun.
even if you don't read it completely, come on and join in.
Mm-hmm.
So we will.
Clay's tired. He's exhausted.
Yeah. It's been a hell of a couple of weeks.
It has.
We will
Post-tax
continue
day,
the
that's
discussion. We very much appreciate your questions. Some of y'all emailed in, some of them texted in. We very, very much appreciate your questions, your comments, your input. That's really what this night is for. And as the channel grows, we hope to, even get more of that. So thank you all. Really appreciate you being with us here tonight. For those of you on the replay crew, love you too. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out.
And subscribe and turn on notifications.
And we will see y'all Saturday night, 7 o'clock p.m. EST. Thank you all. Our time is up. We thank you for yours. Good night.